name's fingerprints on it. The real Marcel or something. Oh my god. Watch. Floyd Collister is feeling better. Sounds like an interesting but I already did have the conversation. She's always like way too late, you know? There must be something with his fingerprints on it. God damn it. See, this is a crime scene, and if I remember right, when I put lipstick on, I leave fingerprints on the damn thing. Maybe that's just me. Oh, that sucks. There's a door there. Why can't I go there? Oh wait, I didn't check this out earlier. What's that? Sign it for I'm leaving.
Looks like this Wallace Beganowski is angling for partial ownership in this club. And judging by this note, the negotiations aren't going well.
I'm sign it or I'm leaving. Okay, I guess we can do that conversation now. No.
Wally and I were very close. Always.
Seems like there was tension between the two of you after all.
Once Wally saw himself becoming me, well, he started to become unreasonable. It was still my club. He was the manager. And he did a superb job in that capacity. But I did not want to share everything with him. Oh, he started threatening to leave. Oh, so much drama. But I know he would have straightened things out. We always did. For better or worse, in sickness and in health, until death do us part.
Where were you last night around 3 a.m.?
For all our ups and downs, Wally and I never stopped being friends. I've been staying at his place for the last couple of months. I was there last night, waiting for him to come home.
Can you prove you were at Wally's place last night?
I don't think so, but no, wait. I was using his computer. I was chatting with a few old friends. Don't they call it IMing? Anyway, I can give you Wally's password. I'm sure if you take a look at the computer, you will be able to verify what I'm saying.
All right, Marcel. We'll do that.
Okay, great. No, crap, that was not the one I needed.
We'll bring Wally's computer back to the lab, and we should be able to confirm whether Marcel was online or not.
Can I get his fingerprints from it? No. Great, the lab. Is it on here?
Male victims, each one from a different race and socioeconomic background. Each was married. Now, the common thread that ties these men together is the desire to explore their homosexual tendencies through the apparent safety of a male.
There were several, actually, which was part of the problem back in 1975. But here's something interesting for you. Out of the LVPD's top 4 suspects, 2 are now deceased, and the other 2 are going to be very familiar to you.
You're kidding. Floyd Callister and Wallace Beganowski. According to this police report, both of them had been arrested multiple times for solicitation as well as lewd and lascivious behavior in public.
Yes, there is. We have 10 cards for both Floyd Collister and Wallace Biganowski, and we have a bottle of unidentified alcohol.
If we were able to match brands of alcohol from yesterday and today, it might mean we're dealing with the same serial killer.
Or a copycat. I should get back. Riley thinks I'm picking up lunch. Give me a call if you need me.
Serial killers are certainly creatures of habit, as well as ritual. The liquor used to poison the 4 men in 1975 was classic cork whiskey, which is the same brand that was used to kill Wallace Biganowski last night. I'm going to ask Brass to help us get in touch with the detectives who worked the original Barber Street Boozer murders. Maybe they can help us better contextualize some of this evidence.
What do you need?
Do you think there's any way we can talk to the detectives who originally worked the Barber Street murder cases?
Detectives Glenn Krautman and Maurice Briggs. Glenn died of prostate cancer 6 years ago, and Maurice just retired. I hear you had some input on her final case. She lives out in Boulder City. I'll get her number and have her come down. Hopefully, she might have held on to some of her original case notes.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come out here.
It's the least I can do. I thought you might try to get in touch with me. I saw the news. Floyd Collister murdered in his own club. The news didn't give many details, but you think it might be the boozer, don't you?
Or a copycat. The MO is similar. Male victim forced to ingest a toxic level of distilled alcohol. Murder took place in the same neighborhood as well. The MO, as I said, is similar, but it's not exactly the same. This victim isn't married, nor was he someone who could be described as a closeted homosexual.
The one that got away. The most frustrating case I ever worked, and my biggest regret, for so many reasons. Glenn and I worked as hard as we could to close this case. But I have to tell you the truth. The department, at that time, did not consider the boozer the highest priority. That's right. It's shameful. But there it is. I can only imagine what we might have been able to do if some people's hearts and minds had been different back then. Fortunately, for whatever reason, the boozer decided to stop on his own. Glenn and I both believed the killer was most likely someone merely posing as a transvestite prostitute in order to lure his victims. But witness testimony kept pushing us toward a couple of actual prostitutes, one of whom was Mr. Collister, and the other was a young man named Wally Biganowski. And I believe later on, those two gentlemen opened up a rather popular nightclub together.
We've gone over the suspect file, but we're wondering if there's someone else we might be overlooking.
There was this one guy. I'd have to go through my notes here to recall his name exactly. I thought he was particularly interesting, but I'll admit it might have been feminine intuition or something ridiculous like that, because Glenn didn't agree with me, so I kept it out of our official reports.
What was intuition telling you about this guy?
As I can recall, and you should definitely go over my notes here, these are the originals. This fella had been charged with assaulting one of the victims maybe 4 months before the murders began. Let's see if I can remember the scenario for you. So this John comes down to the neighborhood looking for some love for sale. He ends up picking up a prostitute outside a club on Barber Street, and this prostitute is dressed like a lady. But before they could get down to doing their business, my suspect, whom I remember thought of himself as a kind of knight in shining armor, swoops down and beats this John up pretty good, defending the honor of this lady.
Suspect Gary Beaumont, arrested October 12th, 1975, assault. Victim Lon Muskie. Muskie was in the act of soliciting another male for the purpose of prostitution. Muskie released from police custody, not charged.
Let me get this straight. Gary attacks this guy Muskie, and a few weeks later, Muskie becomes one of the Barber Street boozer victims?
And then 35 years later, who should discover our latest victim but Gary Beaumont? Well, Brass ran Gary Beaumont through the system, but he has no known address. Brass put out a bolo, but I'm hoping we can find Gary ourselves.
I'm sure it won't hurt to talk to Mr. Beaumont again. But I agree with Juarez's partner. He's not your man.
What makes you say that?
The Barber Street boozer obviously felt homicidal rage towards his victims. Married men who were secretly soliciting sex from male prostitutes dressed as women. Wallace Biganowski was an unmarried, openly gay female impersonator. Based on the circumstances surrounding Mr. Beaumont's assault charge, I'd say he was the kind of man who would have wanted to protect Wally, not hurt him and certainly not kill him.
Well, from what I saw of Mr. Beaumont's behavior at the crime scene and at the morgue, he would have to be a supremely talented actor. He was on an emotional roller coaster.
Maybe. For a serial killer, murder is an addiction. Recovery requires a lifelong commitment to some deliberate strategy of behavior modification. And unfortunately, there is no 12-step program for cold-blooded killing. So serial killers usually stop when they're caught or they die. In my professional opinion, if Gary Beaumont is a serial killer, it's difficult to believe that he just decided one day to stop cold turkey.
You're probably right, Ray, but I still think we should bring him in just in case. Cover all the bases. And if Beaumont's been such a loyal customer all these years, maybe Marcel knows where he likes to hang out when he's not at the cabaret.
Hey. Not gonna be a problem. She seems to be in no hurry to go anywhere.
Gary? You think Gary had something to do with this?
We just want to ask him a few more questions, that's all.
Gary's harmless. I mean, he's a pain in the ass because he's always just hanging around needing attention, but he couldn't really hurt anybody, I don't think. He gets thrown out of some places because he's awkward, a little strange. Sometimes he smells, but it's... he's homeless. I wanted to help him, but I never really had the time, you know? I mean, I didn't bother him when I found him pretty much living in the alley behind the club.
Marcel, were you aware that back in 1975, Floyd Collister was on a list of suspects in the Barber Street murders?
Yes, Floyd used to get into a lot of trouble with the police. He was a hooker and he took drugs. But, like I said, that's not the real reason why the police thought he was a deviant. Anyway, that's all water under the bridge now, isn't that right? He cooperated fully, as I recall, answered all the questions. They let him go, and after that, I decided